As you're discovering, working as a business intelligence professional involves many technical skills. These include things like knowing how to identify the right data, metrics, and KPIs for a particular project, applying data modeling and pipelines to organize and move data, transforming data into a usable form, using that data to solve problems and answer questions, and making visualizations and dashboards that drive business processes and goals. But BI also requires excellent communication and presentation skills. After all, if you want your hard work to really make an impact, it's important to know how to effectively share it with others. Successful BI professionals can clearly demonstrate how the tools they create enable their clients to meet business objectives. Plus, this is also important for your career advancement. Having strong communication and presentation skills can help you excel, whether you're interviewing for a job, discussing a promotion, or asking a supervisor about a new training or educational opportunity. During the next few lessons, we're going to concentrate on these key workplace skills. They are an essential complement to all the technical knowledge that you've gained so far in this program. First, you'll explore stakeholder presentations and sharing dashboards with clients. Then, you'll shift your focus to the BI hiring process and strategies for refining your portfolio. In addition, you'll have the opportunity to update your resume for the BI field so it clearly communicates all of your new experiences. And finally, you'll review interview techniques that will help you demonstrate your skills to recruiters and hiring managers. Each of these lessons will prepare you to take your BI career to the next level. So let's get moving on your exciting professional journey. In this course, you've learned that the steps of a BI project aren't always linear. Time passes, problems change, questions are refined, there's constant evolution. And presenting and communicating about project updates is a key part of this process. If you earned your Google Data Analytics certificate, you spent a lot of time learning about presentation and communication skills. In that context, you worked on data storytelling, creating compelling slideshows, public speaking strategies, responding to feedback and questions from clients, and more. In the world of BI, the concept of presenting is a bit different. So let's begin by clarifying what's meant by presentation in BI. People often think a presentation has to happen in a conference room, but many BI presentations are simply email threads. With this in mind, going forward, think of a BI presentation as any time you communicate with stakeholders about their needs or project status. Note that this doesn't include answering questions or giving clarification about minor project details. Presentations are a bit more formal, even if they're in the form of an email. Whether your stakeholders will receive your project updates in their inboxes, on a phone call, at a meeting, or a mixture of these is something you should confirm early when verifying project scope and deadlines. And no matter which format you're using, always follow presentation and communication best practices. This includes engaging your audience by taking the time to understand their point of view. Think about their stake in the project and what they hope to gain from the data insights that you deliver. Next, be sure to prioritize the most relevant information. This means starting with high-level updates first, whether that's something about your current progress, a recent change, or your plans for next steps. Use clear, concise, and accessible language. An effective BI professional recognizes that some people will have used a dashboard before, but that's not often the case. Even though BI is a technical realm, it's wise to avoid using too much technical jargon. Explain your work as simply as possible. This is another example of the importance of empathizing with your audience. I find that it's important to tailor the words and level of detail for each particular audience. For example, I know executives with technical backgrounds who are going to want me to get deep into the details, while others just want the bottom line. Lastly, if a stakeholder shared a concern with you in the previous meeting, it's important that your next presentation describes how you address that issue. And be sure to confirm that they're satisfied with your plan going forward. The first time you present to your stakeholders will likely be when sharing your low-fidelity mockups. As you've learned, these sketches give everyone a clear idea of your design intentions, and they're essential to getting necessary feedback. Typically, you'll have an initial call or email when you ask if the idea you're presenting meets stakeholder goals. And because the mock-up stage is early on in the design process, you can take in people's ideas and suggestions. Then, if necessary, easily move in a new direction before you invest hours in bringing your mock-up to life on an actual dashboard. Later, you'll share your functional dashboard with your users. First and foremost, this involves explaining how to use it. Even the clearest and most intuitive dashboards deserve explanation. Here, you might provide a live demonstration, or you could create a slide deck about how to interpret the visuals and change the settings. Lastly, you're now aware that the majority of dashboards are constantly evolving tools, so they don't necessarily have a final state. Just keep presenting updates on recent changes or new opportunities that have been identified. Then, you'll be able to successfully collaborate with stakeholders and keep your dashboards as fresh and helpful as possible.
Hi, it's great to be back with you to continue learning about the BI profession. So far in this section, you've learned how to share your work and insights with your stakeholders during a project. Now, you'll apply those same presentation skills to your career advancement. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Anita, a Senior Business Intelligence Analyst at Google. The job search can sometimes feel difficult and time-consuming. I encourage all of my candidates to stay positive if they don't get the first role they interview for. It's not uncommon for a person to interview for many different roles before they finally find the right match. Understanding how the BI industry works will help you navigate your job search. The first thing to know is that BI is everywhere. In every industry, companies need business intelligence to make informed decisions. Whether you have a passion for healthcare, finance, human resources, retail, education, construction, or anything else, there's a BI job for you. You can begin searching for a BI job by narrowing your criteria to a specific industry. Your query could be business intelligence healthcare or business intelligence finance. If you don't have a preference, you can search more generally by trying entry-level business intelligence. The second thing to know is that there are a few specific titles that a BI professional can have. Typically, an entry-level or early career BI professional will be called a business intelligence analyst. You may also encounter junior or assistant business intelligence analyst. Job offers with this title may expect anywhere from 0 to 3 years of experience. However, if a BI job asks for more years of experience than you have, you should apply anyway. As long as your skill set matches the job description, it's worth applying. With a strong portfolio and resume, you may be a great candidate even if you don't have a lot of experience. If you're looking for a job in a specific industry, the job listing may ask for skills or knowledge related to that field. You can research job opportunities in your industry of interest to find which additional skills you should develop. Where exactly should you apply to BI jobs? You can find listings on any job searching site, such as LinkedIn, Indeed, or Glassdoor. And a quick Google search can help you find some more recent job opportunities. Through these sites or the company's specific forms, you'll be able to fill out job applications and share your resume and portfolio. Otherwise, you can email the position's hiring manager to apply. If you do get a response to your application, you'll likely interact with a recruiter or hiring manager. They may reach out to you with an email or phone call to schedule an interview. If so, congratulations! You can prepare by researching the company if you haven't already and rehearsing for your interview. Some organizations may contact you for multiple rounds of interviews, especially if they received a lot of applications. You may be asked to describe the projects in your portfolio or complete a short BI-related exercise, kind of like the activities you've been doing in this program. Once you complete your final interview, the waiting begins. Arguably, this is the hardest part, but you can make the most of this time. First, you should follow up by thanking the interviewer. You can also apply to more jobs and work on refining your BI skills. Hopefully, you will soon have an exciting new opportunity. Now that you know what to expect from the BI hiring process, it's time to prepare your application materials. This includes your BI projects, portfolio, and an updated resume. Then, you'll learn more about interview techniques to help you get hired for your first BI position.
Hi, my name is Heather, and I am a data and analytics sales specialist. I was a waitress in New York City for many years. I do not have a bachelor's degree, and my grandfather was able to work his way up in business. And as a child, he told me I could do the same. So I did that. I always thought that finding my voice in an organization, starting small and working my way up, that industry for me just happened to be the technology industry, and where I fell. I took internships for free, and then I'd waitress at night. I would search on LinkedIn. I would friend people on LinkedIn and ask them to have a conversation with me and introduce myself to them and say, hi, I'm Heather. You know, these are the things I'm good at. I'm good with people. I'm good with numbers. I know how to use computer systems. I can be an asset on your team. And I probably did that over and over again for about 3 years until I landed my first job in tech. I think being a server or being a waitress or a bartender and anybody in any kind of restaurant industry has really wonderful transferable skills to land a job in business intelligence. I have a lot of clients, I work with a lot of partners, and I also work with a lot of team members. The skills that I learned working in the service industry, especially in New York City, is being able to multitask, have a lot of tables at once, being able to remember your orders, being really kind to your regulars. So, you know, my customers, I view them as my regulars just as I did when I bartended 10 years ago. Making sure that they're happy. You know, how many times do you go to a restaurant and something isn't right? And if the server gives you a tough experience, well, you're gonna remember that. Now, working in business intelligence, I have a solutions architect that I work with, I have a customer engineer I work with, and other partners to help me rally around a customer. When I solve a problem for a customer and they're efficiently utilizing our data and analytics platforms, it brings me a lot of joy because I know that I'm helping them grow their business. I had maybe 6 or 7 hours worth of video calls that, you know, and I was really on a roll with each one, and I was understanding their problems. I was able to talk about our products in a technical, effective way, and it made me feel so happy when I was able to communicate that way with my customers, with my extended team. So just don't be hard on yourself, and don't be scared to ask people questions. Don't be scared to connect with people on LinkedIn and ask for a conversation to introduce yourself. People don't do that anymore. So set yourself apart and put yourself out there.
If you've earned your Google Data Analytics certificate or completed any non-BI data projects, you may already have a portfolio. As a reminder, a portfolio is a collection of materials that can be shared with potential employers. It's the part of your job application with the evidence of your accomplishments. If you don't have a portfolio yet, it's time to make one. This is a shareable, accessible way to showcase your work, which can give you an advantage over other candidates. Also, a well-rounded portfolio demonstrates your background in non-data industries and the transferable skills you've gained. Portfolios enable you to share project planning documents, dashboards, presentations, and any other assets that will help demonstrate your skills. You can host your portfolio on your own custom website or use an existing data sharing platform. Sites, such as GitHub or Kaggle, that you may have used for sharing data can be used to link out to dashboards. Tableau also has a social platform and sharing capabilities. Once you pick a platform or multiple platforms to host your portfolio, you can add your projects. Choose whether to represent your projects by including your data, screenshots of your dashboard, the embedded dashboard itself, or all of the above. You can include a link to access your dashboard on Tableau. When you've included all the relevant parts from your project in your portfolio, explain your process. Describe your thought process, what work you did, and what you might do differently in the future. It also helps to include a short biography. By describing your professional goals and interests, you can personalize your portfolio and make it stand out. Now, there's one very important thing to keep in mind. Some projects you work on may deal with private data, so it's critical to make sure that you follow your employer's rules and regulations for data sharing. In cases where you cannot share any data or visuals from your project, you can include a summary of what you did in your portfolio. Which details you can share may be up to your employer, but it's still important to document the roles you had on each project you were a part of. Now, it's time to create or update your portfolio. This will be a process you go through periodically throughout your career. Recruiters go through tons of applications during the hiring process, so having a compelling resume is super important to becoming a candidate of choice. If you earned your Google Data Analytics certificate, you learned a lot about creating an effective resume. Now, we're going to refine your original resume to be appropriate for the BI world. Feel free to take a minute to review those lessons now so you're ready to proceed. Updating your resume will enable you to emphasize your BI skills. This is a good practice whenever you apply for new types of jobs. The first thing to do is update the education section. Include any degrees and certificates you've earned, as well as vocational training. Right now, you're almost done with this program. When you earn your certificate, you'll be able to include it in your resume too. For now, you can indicate that you're currently working toward your Google Business Intelligence certificate. Then, update the skills section with any new data know-how you've gained. This can include everything you've learned during this course and anything else that's relevant to the workplace. Make sure to use specific language to describe your skills. For example, data management is not specific because there are many ways to manage data. Instead, you could include data cleaning and data merging as types of data management. The same applies for BI-specific skills. Rather than using business intelligence, you can list data modeling and dashboard building. In your skills section or a separate tools section, include the software you're most familiar with. Because you use BigQuery and Tableau in this program, you can put them on your resume. If you learn other kinds of BI software after completing this program, make sure to include them as well. Now, it's time for some general resume tips that apply to any industry. If you've created resumes before, you may already know and do some of these things. Still, hopefully the following tips can serve as a helpful reminder. It's always good practice to create multiple versions of your resume. Each time you apply to a job, you can tweak the language to best match the job description. For instance, if you're applying to a BI job in the retail sector, you can emphasize any past retail experience you might have. Then, if you apply to a job in a different field, you can remove those details to make room for other accomplishments. These tweaks can help highlight specific skills that set you apart from other candidates. Another tip is to list the most recent and relevant information at the top of the education, skills, and job experience sections. Recruiters and hiring managers are very busy and may spend only a short amount of time on each resume. It always helps to be brief and direct to highlight the most important content as quickly as possible. Now that you know some BI resume tips, it's time to make these updates a reality. A strong resume is essential to catching the attention of recruiters and hiring managers. With your completed portfolio and resume, you'll be ready to move on to the final component of the application process: interviews.
I'm Kelly. I'm a sustainability financial analyst here at Google. And basically what that means is that I work with the global sustainability team here, and I partner with them for any of their external commitments and any of the work that they do. So when I first started figuring out what I wanted to do, and when I first started trying to get internships and get my foot in the door at these big companies, it was really, really hard for me to understand what I needed to do, how to find mentors, what resources were available to even get my foot in the door. And so I found an opportunity and I wanted to create that opportunity for others. And that's why I created my TikTok channel. I wanted to make sure that all of those things that I really struggled with to find, other people could find them more easily, and also just show people that if I could do it, they could do it too. So how I actually tailor my resume to different experiences and make sure that my relevant experience is shown for specific roles that I'm applying to is creating a document listing out all of the experiences that you've had using the STAR method. So for each role, list out the situation, the task, the action, and the result, and have that readily available for all the jobs or experiences that you've had. And then you can actually take the job posting, whichever one that you're seeing, whichever job you would like to apply to, and take the relevant experience that you have and map it directly to the job posting. So for example, if a job requires data and analytics, or if a job requires working with stakeholders and you have that in your relevant experience, make sure to put that at the top of your resume. Whatever job posting you're looking at, if they have keywords for skills required, make sure that you have those words listed on your resume as well. You might have really great analytical experience, but if you're leaving out those keywords that recruiters are looking for, you might get missed. Second of all, when actually looking at your resume, make sure to be succinct and precise with the bullet points that you're listing, as well as the experience. A lot of the times people will want to write out paragraphs on their experiences and what they did, but the more clear and precise that you can make it, the easier it's going to be for a recruiter to actually read through your resume. And lastly, make sure that you're listing only relevant experiences. If there are things that you've had on your resume for a couple of years that might not be very relevant to the job posting, make sure to take those out so that the things that are relevant can shine on your resume as well. If I could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to get into business intelligence, it's just apply. Don't be afraid to take that first step and get your foot in the door, because the rest will follow. And some of my favorite advice that I've ever gotten was, it's going to be better than you even imagined. So just let yourself get to that place.
If you've experienced a job interview before, you probably know what to expect. You might feel some nerves as you prepare for it, excitement as you discuss your passions and accomplishments, and anticipation as you wait for a job offer. But what should you know about BI job interviews? What might give you an advantage in a competitive job market? The most important topic to discuss is your data experience. This includes your non-BI data background and, of course, your hard work during this course. Projects that you complete in the learning environment are extremely valuable, even if you don't have an official role yet. After all, BI professionals learn on the job every day. It's half the fun. Then, you want to demonstrate your BI knowledge. You can do this by explaining your step-by-step process like you did while creating your portfolio write-ups. Here, you can get into specifics. Explain your project planning process, your approach to data modeling, and your dashboard design strategies. Discuss any obstacles you encountered and how you overcame them. Did you ask for help, try a new approach, or research solutions? Explaining how you dealt with a problem in your project will highlight your resilience, positive attitude, and creativity. You also want to list your skills. It might be tempting to talk mostly about your people skills or how you're a very hard worker. While this is true, interviews also want to know about technical skills. Describe the coding languages and tools you're familiar with. Make sure to discuss the technical skills you developed in this course, such as Python and Tableau. For instance, on our finance and data analytics team, we sometimes search for a candidate who knows a particular coding language. Other times, it's important for us to hire someone who can pick up multiple new languages quickly. Some hiring managers may even ask you to complete a coding exercise to demonstrate your skill level. If so, make sure you understand which skills they will assess so you can prepare accordingly. I always tell candidates, don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions if you don't have all the information you need. No recruiter expects you to know everything. And finally, talk about how excited you are to start in a BI role. Interviewers want to hire someone who is both competent and enthusiastic. The hiring manager may guide most of your interview. They may steer the conversations with their questions, but you should make sure to discuss each of these topics before your interview is over. In general, it also helps to remember some universal interview best practices. Answer the interviewer's questions descriptively and prioritize the most relevant information. Speak with a friendly but professional tone. Whether you're in an in-person or virtual setting, dress appropriately, make eye contact, and keep your body language as relaxed and natural as you can. That last one might be tough if you're nervous, but that's okay. Interviewers understand that you are eager to make a good impression. It will also help to think of questions you may want to ask the interviewer. You'll want to know what kinds of data you will work on, how many people are on the company's BI team, and what you would be expected to do in the role. You can also ask about the organization's commitment to inclusivity or their philosophy on work-life balance. By asking your own questions, you demonstrate your interest and that you're a proactive learner. After all, asking the right questions is a BI professional's first job. Each interview is a new opportunity to show off how hard you've worked and get one step closer to an amazing new job.
Hi there, it's Terrence again. Now, it's time to wrap up this section and move on to your graded assessment. In your future BI role, communicating your insights and accomplishments will be an essential skill. It's important to explain to recruiters, hiring managers, coworkers, and employers how you worked on your projects. For example, you learn the value of communication and presentation skills when sharing your dashboards with stakeholders. Then, you focused on preparing for your career in BI. You learned about the hiring process and how to look for a job, then worked on your portfolio. The skills you learned while creating presentations can help you update your portfolio with your latest BI achievements. After that, you updated your resume to reflect the skills you developed during this program. And finally, you learned some interview tips to prepare you for your job search. By now, you're well on your way to start applying for jobs. You've made significant progress in this course. Congratulations.
Businesses everywhere know the power of using data to solve problems and achieve goals. But all the data in the world won't get you anywhere if your stakeholders can't understand it, or if they can't stay focused on what you're telling them. So you want to create presentations that are logically organized, interesting, and communicate your key messages clearly. An effective presentation supports your narrative by making it more interesting than words alone. It starts with how you want to organize your data insights. The narrative you share with your stakeholders needs characters, a setting, a plot, a big reveal, and an aha moment, just like any other story. The characters are the people affected by your story. This could be your stakeholders, customers, clients, and others. When adding information about your characters to your story, you have a great opportunity to include a personal account and bring more human context to the facts that the data has revealed. Think about why they care. Next up is the setting, which describes what's going on, how often it's happening, what tasks are involved, and other background information about the data project that describes the current situation. The plot, sometimes called the conflict, is what creates tension in the current situation. This could be a challenge from a competitor, an inefficient process that needs to be fixed, or a new opportunity that the company just can't pass up. This complication of the current situation should reveal the problem your analysis is solving and compel the characters to act. The big reveal, or resolution, is how the data has shown that you can solve the problem the characters are facing by becoming more competitive, improving a process, inventing a new system, or whatever the ultimate goal of your data project may be. Finally, your aha moment is when you share your recommendations and explain why you think they'll help your company be successful. When I'm working on a presentation, this is where I like to start too. Using these basic elements to outline your presentation can be a great place to start, and they can help you organize your findings into a clear story. And once you've decided on these 5 key parts of your story, it's time to think about how to pair your narrative with interesting visuals. Because, as you're learning, an interesting and persuasive data story needs interesting and persuasive visuals. Coming up, you'll learn even more about how to be an expert.
Great, you're back. When you take a picture, you usually try to capture lots of different things in one image. Maybe you're taking a picture of the sunset and want to capture the clouds, the tree line, and the mountains. Basically, you want a snapshot of that entire moment. You can think of building your resume in the same way. You want your resume to be a snapshot of all that you've done both in school and professionally. In this video, we'll go through the process of building a resume, which you'll be able to add your own details to. Keep in mind this is a snapshot. So when managers and recruiters look at what you've included in your resume, they should be able to tell right away what you can offer their company. The key here is to be brief. Try to keep everything in one page and each description to just a few bullet points. 2 to 4 bullet points is enough, but remember to keep your bullet points concise. Sticking to one page will help you stay focused on the details that best reflect who you are or who you want to be professionally. One page might also be all that hiring managers and recruiters have time to look at. They're busy people, so you want to get their attention with your resume as quickly as possible. Now let's talk about actually building your resume. This is where templates come in. They're a great way to build a brand new resume or reformat one you already have. Programs like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and even some job search websites, all have templates you can use. A template has placeholders for the information you'll need to enter and its own design elements to make your resume look inviting. You'll have a chance to explore this option a little later. For now, we'll go through the steps you can take to make your resume professional, easy to read, and error-free. If you already have a resume document, you can use these steps to tweak it. Now, there's more than one way to build a resume, but most have contact information at the top of the document. This includes your name, address, phone number, and email address. If you have multiple email addresses or phone numbers, use the ones that are most reliable and sound professional. It's also great if you can use your first and last name in your email address, like janedoe17@email.com. You should also make sure that your contact information matches the details that you've included on professional websites. And while most resumes have contact information in the same place, it's up to you on how you organize that info. A format that focuses more on skills and qualifications and less on work history is great for people who have gaps in their work history. It's also good for those who are just starting out their career or making a career change. And that might be you. If you do want to highlight your work history, feel free to include details of your work experience, starting with your most recent job. If you've had lots of jobs that are related to a new position you're applying for, this format makes sense. If you're editing a resume you already have, you can keep it in the same format and adjust the details. If you're starting a new one or building a resume for the first time, choose the format that makes the most sense for you. There's lots of resume resources online. You should browse through a bunch of different resumes to get an idea of the formats you think works best for you. Once you've decided on your format, you can start adding your details. Some resumes begin with the summary, but this is optional. A summary can be helpful if you have experience that is not traditional for a data analyst, or if you're making a career transition. If you decide to include a summary, keep it to 1 or 2 sentences that highlight your strengths and how you can help the company you're applying to. You'll also want to make sure your summary includes positive words about yourself, like dedicated and proactive. You can support those words with data like the number of years you've worked or the tools you're experienced in, like SQL and spreadsheets. A summary might start off with something like hardworking customer service representative with over 5 years of experience. And once you've completed this program and have your certificate, you'll be able to include that too, which could sound like this. Entry-level data analytics professional. Recently completed the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Another option is leaving a placeholder for your summary while you build the rest of your resume, and then writing it after you finish the other sections. This way, you can review the skills and experience you've mentioned and grab 2 or 3 of the highlights to use in your summary. It's also good to note that the summary might change a little as you apply for different jobs. If you're including a work experience section, there's lots of different types of experience you could add. Outside of jobs with other companies, you could also include volunteer positions you've had and any freelance or side work you've done. The key here is the way in which you describe these experiences. Try to describe the work you did in a way that relates to the position you're applying for. Most job descriptions have minimum qualifications or requirements listed. These are the experiences, skills, and education you'll need to be considered for the job. So it's important to clearly state them in your resume. If you're a good match, the next step is checking out preferred qualifications, which lots of job descriptions also include. These aren't required, but every additional qualification you match makes you a more competitive candidate for the role. Including any part of your skills and experience that matches a job description will help your resume rise above the competition. So if a job listing describes a job responsibility as effectively managing data resources, you'll want to have your own description that reflects that responsibility. For example, if you volunteered or worked at a local school or community center, you might say that you effectively manage resources for after-school activities. Later on, you'll learn more ways to make your work history work for you. It's helpful to describe your skills and qualifications in the same way. For example, if a listing talks about organization and partnering with others, try to think about relevant experiences you've had. Maybe you've helped organize the food drive or partnered with someone to start an online business. In your descriptions, you want to highlight the impact you've had in your role, as well as the impact the role had on you. If you helped a business get started or reach new heights, talk about that experience and how you played a part in it. Or if you worked at a store when it first opened, you can say that you helped launch the successful business by ensuring quality customer service. If you use data analytics in any of your jobs, you'll definitely want to include that as well. We'll cover how to add specific data analysis skills a little bit later. One way to do this is to follow a formula in your descriptions. Accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. Here's an example of how this might read on a resume. Selected as one of 275 participants nationwide for this 12-month professional development program for high-achieving talent based on leadership potential and academic success. And if you've gained new skills in one of your experiences, be sure to highlight them all and how they helped. This is probably as good a spot as any to bring up data analytics. Even if this program is the first time you really thought about data analytics, now that you're equipped with some knowledge, you'll want to use that to your benefit. So if you've ever managed money, maybe that means you helped a business analyze future earnings, or maybe you created a budget based on your analysis of previous spending. Even if it was for your own or a friend's small business, it's still data that you've analyzed. Now you can reflect on when and how and use it in your resume. After you've added work experience and skills, you should include a section for any education you've completed. And yes, this course absolutely counts. You can add this course as part of your education, and you can also refer to it in your summary and skills sections. Depending on the format of your resume, you might want to add a section for technical skills you've acquired, both in this course and elsewhere. Besides technical skills like SQL, you could also include language proficiencies in this section. Having some ability in a language other than English can only help your job search. So now you have an idea of how to make your resume look professional and appealing. As you move forward, you'll learn even more about how to make your resume shine. By the end, you'll have a resume you can be proud of. Next up, we'll talk about how to make your resume truly unique. See you soon.